1, 2.
Okay, we're live and YouTube is rolling.
David, are you ready? On the record. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this hybrid public comment hearing of the Energy Facilities Siting Board. Before I introduce myself and my colleagues and this program, I would invite Kessel John, please, to explain some aspects of the Zoom.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Kessel, and I'm with ERG, a contractor supporting this meeting. I'm going to start us out by providing some meeting logistics for Zoom attendees. Audio is available through your computer's speakers or by telephone. To switch to phone audio, please click on the upward arrow next to audio options, select Switch to Phone Audio, and follow the instructions provided. Please use the chat box for Zoom technical difficulties. You can also email meetings@erg.com with any technical questions about meeting logistics. If virtual attendees would like to make comments during the meeting, please raise your hand during the comment section by clicking on the Raise Hand icon in your Zoom control panel. If you're calling in via telephone, please press *9. Once you're called on, you'll be promoted to a panelist and will be able to turn on your video and unmute yourself. Closed captions are auto-generated and are available by clicking on the CC icon in your Zoom control panel. If you don't see the CC icon, or the raise hand icon for that matter, please click on More, which is indicated by 3 dots to the right hand of your Zoom control panel. A little menu will pop up and they should be there. This hybrid public comment hearing is being live streamed and recorded. A video of the hearing will be available on the Energy Facility Siting Board's YouTube channel after the hearing. That's all for Zoom, so I'm going to turn it back over to Daniel now.
Great, thank you, Kessel. My name is Daniel Kelleher. I am a presiding officer with the Siting Division of the Energy Facilities Siting Board, and I will be conducting tonight's hearing. The Siting Board is the state agency charged with reviewing proposals of large energy projects in Massachusetts, including the project before us this evening, and the Siting Division supports the work of the Siting Board. To my left is Wayne Wong, the Assistant Director of the Siting Division. To his left is Shannon Dennehy. She is an analyst with the Siting Division. To my right is Smitha Divakar, also an analyst with the Siting Division. Today's public comment hearing relates to a petition from National Grid to the Siting Board with docket number EFSB 25-01/D.P.U. 25-16. National Grid's petition proposes upgrades to an existing electrical transmission line that runs from Millbury to Buckland on an existing right-of-way and through many towns in between. I refer to National Grid as the company and to the project in their proposal as the project. This evening's hearing marks the beginning of a formal state-level decision-making process in which the Siting Board will consider whether to approve the project. In reviewing the project, the Siting Board will determine, pursuant to General Laws, Chapter 164, Sections 69J and 72, whether the project will serve the public convenience and be consistent with the public interest, and also whether the project will satisfy considerations of low cost, low environmental impact, and reliability. The primary purpose of this evening's public comment hearing is to allow the public to comment so that we have input, and that those comments will help guide the siting board in this proceeding over the next several months. I will briefly describe National Grid's project proposal. National Grid proposes to replace 2 existing 69-volt overhead transmission lines and their supporting structures that run approximately 67 miles from Millbury, Massachusetts to Shelburne, Massachusetts. National Grid proposes to replace the 2 lines with 115 kilovolt lines. These lines run through Millbury, Auburn, Leicester, Spencer, East Brookfield, North Brookfield, West Brookfield, Ware, Belchertown, Pelham, Shutesbury, Leverett, Sunderland, Deerfield, Conway, and Shelburne, Massachusetts. National Grid also proposes to replace 3 tap lines, which are lines that branch off from the main transmission lines, and in doing so would replace both the tap lines themselves and the supporting structures. These 3 tap lines run through, in one case, Belchertown, in another case, Shutesbury, and in the third case, Shelburne and Buckland. National Grid proposes to remove those existing structures. In a few minutes, representatives from the company will share with you details about the project. I will then invite the public, both those in person and those on Zoom or telephone, to comment or ask questions. As appropriate, I may ask the company representatives to respond to questions. For those of you participating by Zoom or telephone, you will have an equal opportunity to see and hear everything said during this hearing and offer comments and ask questions. In addition to having this opportunity to comment orally on the project, people may participate in the proceeding by submitting written comments. Written comments are due in 2 weeks, January 28th, 2026. To do so, please email your comments to me and others as specified in the notice, which is available on this table over here. If you don't have that notice, you can email me and I can provide you with a copy of it. My email address is daniel.w.kelleher@mass.gov. That is DANIEL.W.KELER@mass.gov. In addition to participating by filing written comments, people can petition to be interveners or limited participants. An intervener is a party to the proceeding and has rights to ask discovery questions of the company, to present witnesses, to ask questions of witnesses testifying at the hearing, to file briefs and motions, and to appeal the decision of the signing board. A limited participant, on the other hand, would have the right to receive filings made in this proceeding and file briefs with the citing board, but a limited participant does not have the right to appeal the decision. The deadline for applying to be a limited participant or an intervener is the same as submitting written comments 2 weeks from today, January 28th. If you would like any if you would like any information on participating, please email me, daniel.w.kelleher@mass.gov. We will now move to the company's presentation. After the company's presentation, I will open the floor to comments from the public. Would legal counsel please introduce yourself and state who you represent?
Good evening. Thank you, Presiding Officer Kelleher, and members of the Siting Board staff, and members of the public who have come out this evening. We appreciate the opportunity to provide more information about the project to you tonight. To that end, I'd like to introduce Raul Shah, who is a project manager for this project for National Grid. I guess I should have introduced myself, sorry. My name is Catherine Cuthan. I'm from the law firm of Keegan Worlin, representing National Grid in this proceeding. In addition, Cheryl Blaine from the same law firm is also representing National Grid, as well as David Waterfall, Senior Counsel to National Grid. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and good evening, everyone. My name is Rahul Shah. I'm with Project Management at National Grid. On behalf of the project team and National Grid, I would like to thank the Siting Board and members of the community for being here today, giving us the opportunity to interact with you, answer your question, and hear your comments. We look forward to hearing your comments and working with you. With that, I would like to invite Kenneth Daw, who is our transmission line consulting engineer. He'll go through the project presentation, giving an overview. And
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. My name is Ken Daw. I'm an engineer with Fairwater Engineering, working on behalf of National Grid for this project. If we could move to the next slide, please. Just a quick agenda for what I'm going to run through on this presentation. An overview of what the project is, where the project is in the state of Massachusetts, what the existing condition looks like compared to what things will look like when the project is completed, the schedule to begin and end the project, our efforts to communicate with the community, with stakeholders, with abutters, and finish with a slide with some contact info if you have any questions or comments directed to National Grid after tonight. Next slide, please. So the E5 and F6 are two 69 kilovolt transmission lines that are carried on a common line of structures that runs from, as Mr. Kelleher mentioned, from Millbury, Massachusetts to our Deerfield 4 substation in Shelburne, Massachusetts. There are 7 different tap lines that branch off the line along the way, excuse me, 3 of which will be reconstructed as part of the project. The Quabbin Switch tap line, the tap to Shutesbury substation, and the tap to Deerfield number 3 substation. The total length of the project, so the taps and the main line combined, is 67 miles. The lines are supported on 711 existing structures, which are a mix of primarily lattice steel towers, tubular steel poles, and then wood poles as well, running through all the towns previously mentioned. The lines date back to the early 1900s, the first decade or so of the 1900s. The last major project we had was in 2001, where we replaced some structures, we increased the conductors to a larger size wire, and also on the western part of the line installed an optical ground wire, which is a wire that serves dual purposes of protecting the line from lightning as well as carrying fiber optic communications. Next slide. This is a map of the project route. The red line represents the path that the line takes from Millbury substation in the bottom right to the Deerfield 4 substation in the top left corner up there. Millbury down here, down past along the Quabbin Reservoir, heading up northwest to Deerfield up here. The dots and stars along the line show the substations that the line also taps to and connects as it makes its way between those two endpoints. Next slide, please. The reason that we're doing the project is that the line is over 100 years old, and the structures and wires that it consists of are at the end of their life and are in need of replacing to address the condition of those components. As part of doing that, we'll reconfigure the line using our 115 kV design standards, so that will change the height and spacing of the wires on the poles, which will provide better shielding from lightning, reduce the risk of trees contacting the line, and overall will make the line more reliable and experience fewer outages. All of the structures and wires will be designed to current codes and standards that we have for transmission line design, so the line will be stronger and better able to resist the weather that it may see. In the 6 years preceding this filing from 2019 to 2024, the lines combined experienced 70 different outages over those 6 years. And we expect that by completing this project, we should have significantly better performance and fewer outages going forward after that. An additional benefit of the line will be that In addition to that section of existing fiber optics on the western portion only, we will be adding a second OPGW, the entire length of the line from Deerfield to Millbury, as well as a second OPGW from in the extent of the line that doesn't currently have fiber optics. Next slide. So what this work will consist of is replacing all of the existing structures on the main line and the 3 tap lines that are included in the project. We'll be using our 115 kV design standards, which means that the wires will be spaced slightly further apart, there will be more insulation, and the poles will be slightly taller and have greater clearance to ground from the conductors. The line will continue to operate at 69 kV. We have no concrete plans to operate the line at 115 and actually change the operating voltage at this time. The reason we're designing the line for 115 kV at this time is while we're going through this large project and replacing the entirety of the line, the cost difference to do so is very marginal. And we believe that it makes sense to take advantage of the opportunity while we are doing all this work to do it now and avoid the possibility of, at some point within the lifespan of the new assets we'll be installing, having to come back out and replace them before the end of their useful life, should the need arise. New conductor will be going up, as well as the optical ground wires that I mentioned. In order to facilitate that construction, we'll be making access improvements along the right-of-way. And all the work that we're doing, all the construction will be on the existing right-of-way. The benefits, as I mentioned, all of the assets that are in deteriorated condition will be replaced with new assets, better to serve their function. We expect the line to perform better, fewer outages. The new conductors will carry power more efficiently with less losses. The access improvements will have long-term benefits of being able to access the line for maintenance, for vegetation management, and emergency response even after the project is completed. And by installing our standard size conductor that has greater capacity to carry power than the existing lines, excuse me, the lines will be able to carry more power to serve future load growth, connection of renewable energy resources, and will and better be able to carry power throughout the New England region as part of the overall New England transmission system. Next slide, please. The image on the left is a picture of one of the existing E5F6 towers. This is the predominant structure type you'll see out on the right-of-way at the moment. The E5 line is on one side of the structures, and then the F6 is on the other side of the structures. The general configuration will remain the same with one circuit on either side, but the structure type will be steel monopoles, so a single pole shaft with arms coming off either side. These two pictures are both examples of other double circuit monopole transmission structures illustrating the general arrangement of the line going forward. Next slide, please. This is a cross-section view showing the proposed and existing superimposed on one another. The center line will be shifted slightly to the left, about 5 feet. That's to the left when you're looking from Millbury towards Deerfield. The reason for that is the availability of outages on both circuits simultaneously are very limited. So by shifting it over to one side, it enables us to take an outage on one side of the structure while keeping the other side energized and keeping the required safe distance for our workers to be able to construct that safely. So the sequence of events for how that would go is our crews would remove the wire and arms from the left side of the structure, set the new structures with new arms on its left side, string in the wires on the left side, then energize that new wire, that new circuit, come back, remove the rest of the tower and the wires on the right side, install new arms on the right side and the new wires on that, leaving the new poles in place and all the existing line removed at the end of that. Next slide, please. This is a high-level schedule of some of the milestones for how we expect the project to proceed. We've begun permitting efforts, including this process with the siting board. We expect permitting efforts to be complete by 2027. March 2028 will begin those access improvements to enable us to get out there with construction. The access work will proceed through 2034. Construction will follow along with that access, beginning in the fall of 2028 and extending through spring of 2035. And those removals progress along with the construction as well. And as we move section by section along through the duration, we'll restore the right-of-way when we've finished in any particular section, concluding the overall project in 2035. Next slide, please. This is a high-level summary of the permits that we expect to file for and need to approve this project. At the top is this proceeding before the siting board, as well as an extensive list of state, federal, and local permits. Next slide, please. To date, National Grid has had community meetings. We've answered questions from abutters. We've had open houses for the public. We've spoken with elected officials and select boards in the towns that the line passes through. Other efforts to communicate with the public at large, we have a website set up, www.cma2wmaenergy.com, as well as an email address and a phone number to direct questions or comments to National Grid. As the project continues through design and construction, we intend to continue that open communication of what we're planning to do, where and when, and to be responsive to comments and any questions that we have that come up. We'll have significant notification efforts as we get into construction. We'll be proactive in speaking with our underlying landowners and abutters of when we'll be in the area to be constructing the line. Next slide, please. These are some images kind of summarizing what you might see on the right-of-way during the process. As I mentioned, the first step is going to be establishing access to get out to the line and construct that. Up on the top left here, you'll see timber swamp matting, which we use in wet areas to spread out the load of the construction equipment and reduce the impact to the wetland areas. We'll install sediment controls and erosion barriers to control sediment runoff during rain events, and crushed stone aprons at intersections with roads to prevent the off-road equipment from tracking dirt onto the roads. As after the access is established, the sequence of construction generally starts with our foundations. So drilling equipment to excavate and install foundations, whether those be direct embeds of poles or concrete foundations, as well as micropile foundations in some cases. Once the foundations are completed, the new poles will be set on the foundations, and then the wires will be pulled in on those new poles once they're installed. And then once construction in any section is done, as I mentioned, we'll remove the environmental controls and restore the disturbed areas to reestablish plant growth to prevent erosion after the project. Next slide, please. Again, a summary, to reach out to our project engagement team, we have a phone number, 888-431-3536, where you can leave a message and someone from the project team will get back to you. We can also be reached by email at info@cma2wmaenergy.com. And again, the project website with a summary of the project, as well as documents related to the project, is cma2wmaenergy.com. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we will take comments, starting with any government officials appointed or elected, going in the order of federal, state, local. And then we will invite people who have signed up, and We have a few of those. And we'll go in the order in which you signed up, and then we will take comments from anybody else who hasn't signed up but would like to speak. For all speakers, please give your name and address, especially your town. Spell your name and speak slowly and clearly. Our stenographer is transcribing all speakers tonight to make his transcribing work easier. Please speak deliberately and clearly, which I'm trying to do right now. Please stop speaking if you see me raise my hand. If a company response to a comment or question is appropriate, I may ask the company to respond. Do we have any federal officials tonight, either in the room or online? Any state officials? And then local officials. Judith Eisman, is she here? We could bring a microphone to you if you'd like to speak from your seat. You don't even have to stand up.
Okay. I want to first associate, I'm sorry, yes, Judith Eisman, E-I-S-E-M-A-N, 88 Arnold Road in Pelham, Massachusetts. I chair the planning board. Okay. I wanted first to associate myself with comments that Michael De Chiara from Shutesbury is submitting. I expected him to be here. But my interest in the issue of balancing the interests started back when I was in graduate school, when I wrote a paper on the subject. And in my over 45 years working on environmental issues, laws and regulations, I have continued to see that balancing the interests nearly always results in some kind of environmental interest losing, because we don't value the environment the way corporations do. I do think that, generally speaking, this project makes sense. The part I am taking issue with is the worker decisions that are going to be made as to when trees get cut. And although this right-of-way is narrow compared to others, right now it is not in a straight line, and there are wetlands and trees and steep slopes involved in my town and other places, and our town is entirely a water supply protection district. So I'm confident that our Conservation Commission will do a good job in monitoring that where wetlands are involved. I am not so sure that we should rely completely on a worker at the site deciding, oh, that tree ought to come down, and oh, we have to get through this wetland to do it. You know, that's a major concern. And I guess the other thing I am concerned with is that these kinds of projects should not be all or even mostly about the money and property rights. We're killing the planet with that approach. And although we need the energy, I am not convinced that we need as much energy as we are planning for, given some of the uses that that energy is going to be put toward. I'm sort of an old-fashioned gal, I guess you'd have to say. But, you know, Mother Earth doesn't yet belong to any corporation. It belongs to all of us and every living being. And putting a price tag on what is being lost and asking, is it really worth it, would be something we should all be doing, because I'm not sure for whose benefit and at what cost this is going to be for all the communities involved. It's a pretty big project, given the communities that are involved. And furthermore, when we begin to see data centers popping up, it seems to me that there must be a connection between making these wires stronger and heavier and bigger and able to receive more power, and the potential for putting solar farms in forests and fields with these battery storage units and other things that aren't going to benefit Western Mass as it is now or as it wants to be later. That's essentially it.
Thank you so much. Okay, are there any other local officials who would like to speak? And then I don't think anyone else has signed up, so just raise your hand if you're interested in speaking, please, sir. And we do have a microphone over here if you don't mind. Sir, right there, and then you do, because then the people online will hear you.
McCarthy, 39 North Main Street in Belchtown. This is just a question, simply, maybe the consultant can answer it, but I'm a little bit ignorant of the distinction between the fiber optic system and the regular power line system, and what would they each be used for. So if you could describe that and how that relates to this project, I'd appreciate it.
I can definitely speak to that. Kessel, is it possible to pull the PowerPoint slides back up again, please?
Yes, give me a second.
A picture will help explain what's going on.
All right, I will flip through. Let me know when to stop. Or do you know the slide?
I don't know the number offhand, so I'll tell you when to stop, please. Please. So a transmission circuit is a three-phase power circuit. So this structure carries 6 wires for those 2 circuits. So you have 1, 2, 3. That's the E5 circuit. Those 3 wires carry the electricity. Over on the other side of the structure, you have the 1, 2, 3 wires there that carry the circuit, the power. Those 6 wires operate as 2 separate circuits. So if one circuit goes out, the other circuit stays in and continues to provide some redundancy there. The 2 wire positions up at the, sorry, my hands are shaky a bit, up the top of the structure here and here they don't carry any electric power. They are electrically connected to ground. They're grounded, and they sit at the top of the structure to intercept lightning, so that lightning doesn't hit the wire, the power conductors underneath. If lightning strikes one of those power conductors, it will flash over on its way to ground, and it'll create an ionized, channel of air around the insulation, and that causes the line to trip out, and the protective relays open the circuit breakers and turn the line off. What OPGW is it replaces these wires up at the top. So it continues to serve that lightning protection function, but it has fiber optic cables through the middle of it that we use for communication. What we use that for is communication between substations so that, those protective relays that detect fault conditions can detect those faults faster, and they can open with less delay. We also use that for a lot of the more sensitive substations. We're having a lot of upgrades with security, so alarm runs back to the control center. There are cameras and gunshot detection systems and all sorts of things like that that we use that communication capacity for, as well as asset health monitoring. So there's some systems that will monitor the state of charge in the battery in the station and things like that, and report all that data back. And by putting the fiber optic up on the transmission system, it's privately controlled by National Grid. It's not subject to connection over a third party or the public internet at large. So that's why we like doing it that way. Does that answer your questions? Yeah, my pleasure.
Would anyone else like to speak? Nobody on Zoom? Ask about Zoom? Yeah. Is anybody on Zoom interested in speaking? And if so, please raise your hand. All right, well, it appears that nobody else would like to speak. Okay, so we will, oh ma'am, come forth.
It's going to be a stupid question, probably.
Oh, those are the best.
I'm Elizabeth Poles, 44 North Street in Belchertown, and I'm also vice chair of the Belchertown Planning Board. One of those slides referenced 70 outages from 2019 to 2024. Can you describe what those outages were? I ask this because in Belchertown, back in whatever year the big Halloween storm was, we were particularly hard hit. And it seemed at the time as though the reason my house had no power for 10 days, that had to do more with the poles on the road, I believe, as opposed to transmission lines. Other towns nearby bounced back much quicker. Is this kind of project going to make that kind of outage less likely, or do we have to come at that problem, which we've suffered from, in another way?
Those 70 outages on the line, on the two circuits combined are, I don't have the whole table in front of me of what the causes were, but primarily, yes, they were weather and lightning related. That's mostly what causes those. The lines that we're talking about serve those substations along the way, which then provide power to the poles and wires that run along the road and to your house and everybody else's house. Because the lines are, because you have the two of them, and if one is taken out of service due to an issue with the weather or lightning, if the other one stays in service, it doesn't result in an outage that you would see at your house. So in any one of those cases where only one of those two circuits had an outage at a time, it wouldn't have created an issue that you probably would have noticed at the end of all of the line because of that redundancy. I believe there were a couple of outages. I want to say 2 to 3 of those that were extended duration outages on both circuits that would have resulted in the customers being served by one of those substations seeing an outage at their end user point. But you're right, exactly what you said. Most of them are more localized, and most of the outages that you would see at home are caused by more localized damage to the lower voltage distribution system along the roads.
Thanks. Yep. And while I'm here, I just want to thank Judith Eisman for her remarks. Although it seems as though there'll be much more cutting happening in Pelham than in Belchertown. We are neighboring towns. You know, we spend a lot of time protecting our cold water fisheries on the various applications we have to permit. And if there's work in Cadwell Forest, where one of our cold water fisheries comes out of the ground, that will impact Belchertown as well. So I too am worried about any unnecessary tree clearing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sir.
It's Cliff McCarthy, in Belchertown. I thought of a second question that maybe you could help with. At one point, you talked about a tap line that was a Belchertown tap line. What is that used for, and what is the function of that, and what should we expect from this project?
Does that still work? Okay. The Belchertown tap lines branch off from the main line right at the southern end of the Quabbin Reservoir, and that it's a very short section, only a couple of structures on each line that connects to the Quabbin switch tower. From the Quabbin switch tower, there's another line called the B69 line, which continues on from that point and supplies Belchertown substation. So the work on the Belchertown taps is a relatively small portion of the overall lines, but that's kind of the cascading flow of power is Belchertown substation receives its power from the B69 line, which receives its power from the Quabbin switch, which receives its power from the E5 and F6 main lines. This project will upgrade the E5 and F6 main lines, and then the E5 F6 tap lines, which is the short segment from the main line to the Quabbin switch structure. That's a shorter bit there.
Thank you. My name is David Haynes, Haines, 141 Old Enfield Road, Belchertown, Mass. I'm the Vice Chairman of the Belchertown Conservation Commission. For everybody's information, I have done some work on the power lines in the past in terms of replacing poles on the transmission lines as an environmental consultant. My concern, or I want like clarification on, these projects do require filings with the conservation commissions and notices of intent for both the improvement of the access roads and replacement and also the tree clearing. There's extensive work that will be necessary. I've seen the roads replaced, I've seen the swamp mats go in, and I've seen the poles replaced and the wires. And I do have to say that the people that work on those things live are a little bit crazy. But I do have concern. The permitting process, I assume, every project will have orders of conditions to allow them to go forward or to permit them and condition them. Also, Belchertown has a wetland bylaw that I don't believe has to be adhered to, and also it has a stormwater bylaw that will require permitting for all the work that's occurring in the various watersheds. We do require that no additional runoff come off a site. Definition of the site is kind of vague in this because it divides up into smaller watersheds, and it's going to require extensive permitting. I looked at your timeline for getting everything done. You've got a lot of permits to file, a lot of notices of intent to go through, and a lot of people to talk to. So I'm concerned about making sure all that permitting does take place prior to implementation and start of the project. Another major concern that we've heard raised in our commission has discussed it. We've gone over the EIRs for both of these projects. And one concern is how to minimize the amount of clearing that takes place, and not to just do a blanket clearing out to the edge of the right-of-way of all trees. There are going to be areas where it is not going to be necessary. The trees are lower or do not exist, or down in a wetland, and there would be no chance of them hitting the wires. I'd like to know how you're going to do it on a case-by-case basis rather than just a blanket clear-cutting of the right-of-way. We would like to have it all minimized. Belchertown is tributary to both Quabbin. We've got most of your power line goes through the Quabbin. So it's all tributary to water supply in Belchertown, basically. We've got cold water fisheries, we've got wetlands, and those aren't just limited, those impacts aren't just limited to work that's done in the wetlands. As Judy said, it is, the uplands have to be maintained as well. And our stormwater bylaw does reflect, if you're removing trees and changing the hydrology of those watersheds, that has to be addressed. So if you could respond to my question about how the micromanagement of the clearing is going to be done, I would be most concerned about that. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm Erin Ruggiano. I'm the forestry supervisor for National Grid. So we use two sort of metrics. First, we look at arboricultural best management practices for tree health, right, removal, and then we also use tree risk assessment methodology to determine which trees would need to be removed, not just for clearance of the lines, but also safety of construction as it's happening. So I know there's been a lot of talk about clearing the entire right-of-way to the edge of the easement. That's not what we are looking to do. That's not what we're looking to permit. We're only looking for the areas of the right-of-way where the impact from construction would create a hazardous situation for personnel working on the construction and or potentially create a hazardous situation for the lines going forward. So we look at the full picture when we are deciding what trees to remove for the future reliable operation of the line, but then also for actual construction activities and the safety of our people actually doing the construction. Does that answer the question?
Are there any other questions or comments? Thank you to everyone for participating this evening. We welcome your additional input through the written comments or participation in the proceeding. The deadline again is January 28th, 2 weeks from today. If you have questions related to tonight's hearing or anything else related to this proceeding, you may email me at daniel.w.kelleher@mass.gov. Thank you, everyone, and good night. Off the record.